Hello, this is Catherine from Accelerated Reader reading books for you. Today, I will be reading These Are the Good Old Days by Russell Daniel, illustrated by Sandra McDougall. Before I begin reading, I would like to give a big thanks to the author for sending me this book to read on my channel. In the description below, I've included links where you may find and purchase this book. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Every Sunday, Danny and Grandpa Dan went for a walk in the woods around Grandpa Dan's house. This is Danny's first and most favorite memory. Danny remembers when Grandpa Dan said, for the first time, something that would stick with Danny for all his life. These are the good old days, when we're all still around and you're right here, safe and sound. I know that these are the good old days. Danny looked up at Grandpa Dan and asked if they could go on an adventure. Every time Danny and Grandpa Dan went for a walk in the woods, or built a fort, or played in the creek, or looked for neat rocks, all their activities together were an adventure for Danny. Danny and Grandpa Dan had many adventures together, because after all, these are the good old days. Danny and Grandpa Dan also took adventures to the coast. One night, they were fishing from the wooden pier and eating warm soup because it was so cold outside. Grandpa Dan turned to Danny and said, "These are the good old days, when we're all still around and you're right here, safe and sound. I know that these are the good old days." One year, Danny spent all summer at Grandpa Dan's house, and it started raining, as it often would. But this time, it didn't stop raining for 3 whole days. Soon, the underground springs at Grandpa Dan's house were bubbling up with water. Water coming out of the ground! Danny had never seen such a thing. What an adventure! Danny played in the creek with the fresh rainwater as Grandpa Dan kept watch over him. They both knew at that moment, these are the good old days. Long days turned to quick years. Eventually, Danny finished high school. He even went to college and finished college too. For his whole life, Danny did what he was supposed to do. But then after college, he didn't know what he wanted to do, and he started to feel lost. Finally, Danny knew what he wanted to do, and all he wanted to do was travel and go see the world. Another adventure is what Danny knew he needed to do. So Danny went to South America and had many adventures, all by himself. Sometimes Danny felt lonely being far away from his family, so he comforted himself with the words from Grandpa Dan. Danny told himself, "These are the good old days, when we're all still around and I'm right here safe and sound. I know that these are the good old days." After being in South America for a whole year, Danny decided he wanted to come home. Danny's family met him at the airport to welcome him back, including Grandpa Dan. Danny was so happy to see his family, but he noticed Grandpa Dan seemed much older now and moved more slowly. Still, Danny knew that being back with his family, these are definitely the good old days. It was Sunday again, so Danny spent the whole day at Grandpa Dan's house. As it got dark, Danny could hear the crickets chirping, see the fireflies in the trees, and hear his family laughing and talking. Danny knew, being home for the first time in a year, that these are the good old days. Grandpa Dan was so happy to have Danny home. He sat next to Danny and said, "These are the good old days, when we're all still around, and you're right here, safe and sound. I know that these are the good old days." Over the years, Grandpa Dan grew older and slower. One day, Grandpa Dan went to the doctor. The doctor told him that he was too old to go on adventures. Danny was so sad. Grandpa Dan couldn't go on adventures anymore. He thought the good old days were over. But Danny still had his parents, brothers, and Grandma Sally to go on adventures with him. And Danny knew the best thing he could do is continue believing these are still the good old days. Danny got older and became a grown-up with a job and a house and a car, and even a child of his own. Danny would soon take them on their own adventures and share everything Grandpa Dan taught him, including the most important lesson of all. Danny went for a walk in the woods for the first time with his own child. Holding hands with all the care and excitement for their own adventures ahead, Danny said, "These are the good old days, when we're all still around, and you're right here safe and sound. I know that it's always the good old days." The end. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. In the description below, I've included links where you find and purchase this book.